Holy, this thing is no slouch.
This is my first time with a BMW. This is the BMW R1300 GS. This just isn't any GS, this is the top of the line, full spec, latest edition. And if you look closely, this one's a little bit special because this one has been dyno tuned. Because when you spend this much money on a bike, why not just throw the kitchen sink at it at this point? This is the BMW R1300 GS, the latest evolution of what many riders consider the benchmark in adventure touring. Bigger, more refined, more advanced, and for a lot of riders, this is the top of the Mount Rushmore mountain. On paper, it promises everything, but I don't really care about paper. I care about how it feels.
Give me 1 second. Let me just cut that wind noise. With this automatic visor, wow, that is a stark difference. But yes, this really should be a bit of an interesting take because I am not your typical demographic of GS rider. I think I'm about 10 to 15 years too young on average and quite light on the pockets. And that is exactly why this video should be quite interesting, because I'm coming straight from the ground up from a real rider's perspective. I've got no biases. I have no interest as of now to buy one of these things. However, by the end of this video, we will see if I will be convinced by the Germans. So I guess we'll kick it off with one of the biggest elephants in the room, or should I say cow. But 1300 cubic centimeters is not small by anybody's standards. And I can tell you already, my initial impressions riding this thing, the power delivery is so linear and smooth. But as I alluded to at the beginning of this video, this particular model, don't ask me why you'd need to, but it has been dyno tuned. So take that with a grain of salt. But what I can tell you is on the dyno, this thing hits about 148 horsepower at the rear wheel, which converts to about 160 horsepower at the crank. That is no joke by anybody's standards. And the way this thing just glides into corners and pulls out of them has surprised me more than I actually thought it would. I didn't realize how sporty these things actually feel, considering. I mean, yes, of course, it's going to take me a second to get used to this, so I do feel like I'm going to scrape the engine casings on the floor. But I'm probably so far away from that. It's just a mental block I need to get over. But yeah, the power delivery on this, look at it. Absolute behemoth of a thing, moving like it weighs 100 kilograms. Whoa! Holy! This thing is no slouch. Well, that's the first big tick on my radar.
So the 1300 Boxer engine is a new addition built from the ground up of the 1250. The chassis is acclaimed 12 kilograms lighter than the 1250. This thing has a front and rear radar braking system. Don't get me started, that is way above my pay grade. But this thing is just full to the brim with tech. We've got the telelever suspension. This is a bit controversial for more of you experienced riders. I've heard this thing can feel a bit floaty when you give it some on off-road and situations. In the back, we've got the Evo paralever.
Now, putting power aside, because that was a given with the size of this engine, this is the creme de la creme of adventure touring bikes for a reason. And I can feel it straight away, the comfort you get from riding this. I've never experienced it before, and I've ridden a lot of bikes, and maybe I need to ride a few more adventure bikes to get a gauge of where this sits mentally for me. But as I said, as a layman rider who's used to riding a variety of normal bikes, this bike does feel top tier. It's like going down the road on a sofa bed. It is so comfortable. The suspension really does eat up bumps. It does have a bit of a floaty feeling. The suspension is so balanced out, is the way I'm trying to describe it, that when you hit dips and divots, on a normal bike you get the feedback a lot quicker, but because I'm assuming the rebound and dampening and all that stuff on this is designed in such a way for comfort, the feedback you get from those dips and divots is almost delayed as the bike smooths out the dips. So you get this floaty, wishy-washy, comfortable feeling, but almost sort of feels like you're not really connected to the bike. But I guess that is the compromise. You're going to have one or the other. You're going to have super stiff, sporty suspension, or you're going to have the complete opposite like this. Now, I haven't had much time to faff around with the electronics on this thing, but just know that this is the top of the line, top spec, so this has the whole sport package, everything as an added extra and everything unlocked. I don't even know how to use this menu. I just know if I press up and down, I can change between sport and a different view. But this has more technology than the ISS, International Space Station from NASA. Well, what have I done now? There you go. Let's not faff around with that. Let's concentrate on the road. But this thing even tells you your lean angle. Can you see that in the middle? Let's see if I get around this corner, if you guys can see, if the camera is clear enough. Trying to get it over without scraping the side of this bike. But what I do know is the front headlight will adjust the brightness per side depending on how much you are leaning. That's about all I know, to be honest. I haven't really put too much thought into this bike. As I said, it's a very spur of the moment layman ride review. But this feels more like it. Hopefully I can take this bike out again for you guys and push it a bit more. But it's just a shame we're stuck behind a bit of traffic today. But back to that whole average rider perspective from myself. I'm very much surprised on how well this thing is flickable around corners. It feels super light, I'm not gonna lie, even moving it around on foot. These wide handlebars and the big stance really give you a lot of confidence to push that handlebar down and get into the corners. I mean, this bike is purely built for comfort, there's no denying that. I think it's just sheer coincidence that the amount of power this thing has also covers the sporty side of things. It's very nice. It's definitely for someone with a bit of extra cash who don't mind throwing it around, because for a lot of people this bike is so out of the realm of reality. You don't just go into your dealership and buy one for fun unless you're made of money. And after a little bit of seat time on this, I'm starting to grasp who this bike is for a bit more. It's definitely for someone who wants to eat up tons of miles and has a bit of spare cash lying around, because this is a very good chunk of a house deposit, there's no denying that. With that being said, would I justify spending the money and would I own one myself? I'm going to put it like this, I can see why people buy these things. I mean, just doing this little ride today is giving me a little taste of what it would be like to own one of these things and tour around on. And I am in the market at some point this year for an adventure bike, a touring bike, something along those lines for when I move to Europe and eat up miles and miles and miles going across countries. This has really put itself in the place of a contendership. Well, there you have it. If you did like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen, I guess.